So everyone keeps saying Delve data mined already, that Delve is essentially the next league mechanic coming to Path of Exile 2. Well, Jorgring goes over it. I haven't seen this yet. I want to see why
Welcome
people are
back, you
saying
filthy
this.
exiles, and some really interesting stuff has come out that we just totally missed. We just didn't even look for it. And yeah, anyway, it's been data mined, so let's get into the video and talk about it. Rightio, so this is a Reddit thread that came up just a few hours ago, about 14 hours ago. Someone notified me in the comment section. Now, for anyone who doesn't know about my channel or hasn't seen me about, and you're clicking on this video and you're new to it, Delver's pretty much the thing that defines my channel, at least for PoE 1. Obviously, we've got a lot of other things like builds and all the rest of the stuff that goes on. So, you know, I love Delve in PoE 1. I play it profusely. I've clocked probably well over a few thousand hours in the depths of the mines.
That's a ton of time. I just started playing Delve in PoE 1, this PoE 1 league, because I hadn't been playing it too much, and I'm kind of trying to like try all of the mechanics as much as I can in order to finish out my understanding of all of PoE 1, since I only joined during Total League. And so playing Delve for the first time was pretty fun. I kind of like the mini game. I've said this a million times, but I like the mini game side of things where they have completely different ways to play the game in PoE 1. That's like one of my favorite things about it. So if they do start going down that side avenue, like right now, most of the PoE 2 mechanics are just things you can do within a map, right? Like Expedition, Breach, etc. And then you have the side bosses and all that. But if they start adding like actual fundamental side games, I know that the third Ascendancy Trial, like the only versions of these we have are the Ascendancy Trials. We have the Trial of Sekima, and then we have like the Chaos one, which is like kind of a mini game. And the third one looks obviously like it's Toda in the Eye of the Hindakora, which was Toda League, was actually the league I joined PoE. So going back to that will be kind of cool. But it looks basically like Toda. So if they start adding those into the game, like I think that would just make the game a lot more enjoyable for me fundamentally.
And if you haven't seen my previous video, check it out, talking about Delve and my speculations just around the Island of Kin, because we've already seen this pop up with the Act 4 content that's been added in. Anyway, so this is from PoE 2.db, right? So basically this pulls in like a data feed. It's data mined out of the Path of Exile client. And a few things have come up when this person went to go and search for socketables, right? Number one, Delve socketable currency. Number two, Delve stackable socketable currency. Now, what could this be talking about, and what should we expect? Well, number one, this is probably talking about resonators and fossils. We'll briefly touch on that in a moment. And number two, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, which, you know, I guess everybody is keen and eager to speculate about at this stage, is what should we expect in the next expansion?
Well, this was the first actual league, and going forward they're supposed to all be like actual leagues, is my understanding of this. That seems to be what they've communicated. The Dawn of the Hunt wasn't like an actual league, so we should be getting Abyss level leagues every time with a new mechanic in and of itself. If we actually go the Delve route, and Resonators are kind of crazy, he's going to talk about this, he said, in a moment, but like if we go the Delve route, I'll be surprised if they add the same implementation of Resonators in PoE 2 as well. Like they're very strong crafting, and we just added very strong crafting in the Abyss League, but maybe they've decided they're okay with like crafting just being like super strong with, you know, base pieces here without having to have like a ton of knowledge, etc. So yeah, I'm curious to see how much they actually do influence, you know, adding crafting in the game, because they went from like kind of zero, like close to zero crafting, to like pretty good crafting just within one league. This would be another major addition.
Or the next patch for the early access in the 0.4. So let's talk about fossils really quickly, and I'll give you an idea. For those who don't know what they are, we'll look at them. Okay, so for those who don't know what sort of drops in Delve in Path of Exile 1, you've maybe heard about it or you watched my previous video. It drops these things called fossils. Now, the significance of fossils in Path of Exile 2 can't be downplayed. Basically, it would be maybe one of the most deterministic and most perfectly sort of set up systems that could be involved in the game. Basically, in Path of Exile 1, you could hit a fossil onto, you know, something and get an abyssal socket. You could get a gem modifier. You could get a corrupted essence modifier. You could get, you know, you could fracture things as well. You could get speed modifiers. Now, the concept of crafting with Delve is basically like you can get a modifier, and you can also use the fossils to block modifiers. So that basically, essentially fossil crafting is in a non-crafting meta league in Path of Exile 1, one of the most, number one, profitable pieces of things that you could do to farm for divines or exalts or whatever you want to, chaos in Path of Exile 1.
I mean, I used a lot of fossils to be able to craft my chest plate in PoE 1. I spent most of my money buying fossils, and if they do the same implementation as it is in PoE 1 into PoE 2, yeah, it's going to be pretty strong, and I would assume it would be pretty expensive unless these things just drop like crazy.
Is also one of the strongest ways to craft in the game as well, at least at an early level, until you really start looking at like severe levels of master crafting. But all throughout, like you can get dense fossils for more defense, low life, bound fossils, and defense, by the way, in PoE 2, even the stat applies to energy shield. Fundamental fossils for attributes, bound fossils, minion modifiers. Like there's tons of things that they do. Now, further to this, you also have a thing called Resonators. Now, Resonators in their current form in Path of Exile 1 have 4 types. There we go. There's my hands. And basically you have 4 sockets, you have 3 sockets, you have 2 sockets and 1 socket. And that'll take your item and basically craft it into, it has to be a normal item and a base. And then you craft it into, what you get it to at the end of the day, right? Actually, I don't think it needs to be a normal item anymore. I think they changed that. Anyway, I should know that. Moral of the story, super powerful crafting mechanic. It has perfect placement in Path of Exile 2. And basically Abyss crafting is spectacular in its form, right?
It really is.
It would be hands down better than any crafting meta that's currently in the game. And not to mention Delve in its own essence is really, really fun if that's your proclivity. Very good for tanky builds. I suspect for Path of Exile 2 though it will be a bit different, and if you want a bit more on that, I've got another video I put up about Delve a few weeks ago.
My concern with Delve would be that if it's so defense oriented as you're delving deeper and deeper and deeper, and you need to be as tanky as you can, that the defenses currently are not in a position where there's enough variety in terms of scaling into the extreme, like the extremality of defenses. So I would believe that we would not really see a lot of variety in terms of very applicable builds to push into the higher end of Delve, but this would be in a whole new league in which it could be rebalanced. So can't really put the cart before the horse, but like I see where he's going with this.
Which the Island of Kin sort of alludes to, and there's a lot of things that are looking real like Delve is coming very soon. But let's talk about the next topic. So Delve in 0.4. Now, it would make sense. So the release of the 0.3 was in August, so we should expect, they set a 4-month league cycle, so we should expect a league in 0.4, right, being around about December.
Yeah.
I think Delve is perfect for that because, number one, Delve in December, right? The double D here. Basically, there's every possibility that this could be a thing. The fact that this exists in the game and the fact that they put so much work into the Island of Kin, and the Island of Kin's talking about Soulfire, they've spoken about Soulfire, Jonathan loves Delve.
There's a bit of a teaser there,
in the past.
Yeah.
Everything is sort of stacking up to Delve in December. There's another couple of things here.
If it's Delve, they did a good job hiding it because I didn't see anything related to Delve at all when I was down there. But to be fair, I didn't see anything at all related to 0.4 at all while I was down there. They were still making 0.3, so I don't think that really has any, bearing into the conversation.
Which alludes to the note from Nico.
This dude's
which
great.
is
Yeah, I
this
love
passage
Jordan.
here. Someone
super friendly guy.
As in Terry1 posted this on Reddit. Now, the most important thing about this is actually this line here, which says, here we are all lying about, sick as dogs, evil closing in around us, get that soul fight, no matter what it takes. This green lot won't stand in our way, not with all we've got going on here. So what this is basically alluding to is it looks like, and Nico, for anyone who doesn't know, check out my last video, I talk about that in great detail. But basically what this is alluding to is that the abyssal enemies of Kulamak are closing in on the dwellers of Delve, and it looks like Delve has maybe sprawled out and become its own thing in an undercity.
It's kind of interesting because Abysso is this league, Delve being next, would thematically work together. One thing was abundantly clear too, that you kind of notice is I think it was actually in my interview that I did with Jonathan and Mark. I touched on this, which I asked, I believe it was Mark in particular. Like, I noticed you have you put a lot of weight into making sure that things like kind of make sense within like the universe and that there's a reason for things to exist, which I think is a pretty respectable thing to do. So that's not just like randomly patched together stuff. Like it kind of makes sense with each other. And going, you know, Abyss, Depths into Delve, I mean, they kind of thematically fit together. That's my copium on maybe Delve is coming.
And if it is an Undercity, that's going to be absolutely nuts. And basically what I think will happen is that area will open up to Delve, similar to the Boneyard in Act 2 opening up to Abyss. I think the same is going to happen with Delve, and we're going to see like Nico is built from the Undercity up to the surface again, and he's going to take the war to the abyssal enemies that lie beneath. I think that whole themology is awesome, and also the looming threat from the corruption and everything else from the main storyline.
That would be cool thematically. I see where he's going.
Why do I think that they will add this in, or they may add this in? And I was pretty on the nail about unveiled mods in Abyss.
He was actually.
The reason why is, number one, crafting is really, really good with Delve. But the other thing is about game longevity and the way that the endgame plays. So a lot of people, and even myself, make the comment that the endgame in Path of Exile 2 right now looks very much like Delve. And it does, but it doesn't have that same feel. There's just a lot.
Yeah, I don't really see this. I feel like the only reason people say this is that it's Delve-like is because the Atlas itself has like lines between it and you're like moving on the Atlas. It doesn't scale. Like if that was true, you would be scaling the difficulty as you got further away from the home, and you don't. Like it has to do with the Waystones and how you choose to juice it. So I feel like it's literally just the UI of having nodes with the lines that go to it is why people would say it's like Delve, is because it scrolls infinitely, and that's about it. I don't really see the connection to the way the Atlas works currently with the way Delve actually works. Unless we could really stretch to make the argument that the biomes themselves have a lean towards certain types of drops, and because of that, and Delve kind of does the same. But I mean, you would really have to stretch it at that point.
That you can get from Delve. Now, the big change here with the Waystone system, basically Waystones are now scarabs, right? Call it what it is, okay? Whether you like Path of Exile 1 or not, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of that is it means that getting the tablets or precursor tablets that have sulfite on them and generating a resource, and I made this comment in my last video that they would need to change the endgame in such a way that allows for resource generation, just so happens to coincide with the fact that that is exactly how the tablets now work on every single map. So basically in Path of Exile 1, you would need to map, you would need to take on sulfite deposits within maps, and then you would collect the sulfite that would go into a sulfite pool, which then you would upgrade over time from the sulfite generator, essentially in the Delve mechanic itself. All of these things are playing out and makes perfect sense that they're gearing the game into Delve, right? And Delve is coming in. What is the beauty of Delve? It's almost infinite. Steve figured out that at 70,000 was about the depth, right? But the beauty of that is the progression is so insanely egregious as you go down in the best possible way that it forces you to have to build characters totally different. Focus on defense, focus on a balance of offense. Some people build insane builds. I don't think that you'll be taking evasion and ES characters down into low depth Delve at this stage. I think you're going to need high regen characters. This concept of the way that the game is going again to character specialization for different mechanics is really apparent based on the bossing changes from 0.3.1. I haven't even done that video yet, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. And
the recoup stuff to be strong. Isn't there like recoup Chronomancer comes to mind? Like those types of builds?
Unpack that in a bit more detail. But basically all the changes that they're making to the game right now sort of lend to there being something very big. So I reckon a couple of things are going to happen in December. I don't think we're going to get the Tota mechanic. We'll probably get Tota, right? But I don't think that we're going to get the next Act 5. I think that's going to take
shot.
Until, what, maybe March, something like that. February, March. Probably March, April. So I don't think we're going to get the next act.
I'd be very surprised.
I think we're going to get a very big end game league mechanic being Delve, and that just makes sense.
Another reason I don't think we're going to get another act for a while is they set up the interludes. They kind of put a decent amount of effort into making the interludes like playable and somewhat decent. So it would be surprising to me if they did the interludes and they're just going to release another act like right away and then like have to retune the interludes. They'll probably leave that for a while, I would think.
Stuff that
Focus
we're
on the
seeing
in-game
here,
and
the
characters.
commentary in the note, the game changes to the end game. I also think we're going to get more classes. So I think we're going to get the Druid. I think we're going to get probably something to do with like...
Druid is 100% already confirmed. They said in Talkative Try's interview that, or was it Destin's? I forget which. They've both done a lot of interviews with him. It might have been Destin's, in which the Druid is 100% confirmed for 0.4. And if they say that it's not coming in 0.4, that's actually an announcement of a delay for the Druid, to give you an idea. People pretty much expected it for 0.3, and the only reason we don't really see a bunch of people like bummed out that's not in 0.3 is because 0.3 was actually pretty fucking good. So with it coming in 0.4, it's already like been announced it's coming in 0.4. I hope we get 2 classes. I expect we just get 1, especially because, you know, 1 is taking a little bit of time as it is, and more focused on the in-game and another league, basically.
Shadow or something like that, and maybe even Templar, something of that nature. It would make sense to add Templar as a high defense character, and I would expect
Templar would be
very similar in nature, and it would make sense to add them in because you'll have a lot of tools and utilities that will come in with them to be able to handle content like Delve. I think more crafting from that to be able to be more lucrative as well is going to help a lot with the game and address a lot of the community concerns about crafting and no addition to the crafting bench. I think all of these things are just happening, and that's also probably why they're not rushing out to get content done or whatever. For PoE 1, I think we're going to get a really moderate league. I don't think we're going to get something very big. I think it'll be like a Crucible style mechanic or like Trathis 2 point, like something that's going to probably be a bit of a rehash, and we'll probably see a bit more rehash stuff. I think the big sell will be the automated auction house and stuff like that. Or the seamless auction house and all that sort of stuff in game. So I think that's what's going to happen to PoE 1. But as an overall, I think we're going to get Delves or in 0.4 at this point. It just, everything is lending to we potentially going to get Delve. And if we do, that is a huge, huge change to the end game. And that, to be honest with you, is we go into full Delve Goblin mode. We will be making every Delve guide under the sun in this channel and on stream. We will be delving like an absolute monster. The Delve playlist comes back.
And Delve would be the actual first like major side game or whatever you want to call it, like league mechanics does not kill monsters within the map, a non-map mechanic.
Back up, and that's basically where we.
This guy really wants Delve. Yeah, Jordan is a big Delve enjoyer, dude. He's like the Delve guy, one of them.
Frankly, Delve
Connor comes to mind too.
Ever put into an ARPG? It is an infinite loot dungeon mine. It's profitable, it's fun, and I can't wait to see Crystal King come back because he's going to kick some ass, and it's going to be fantastic. Anyway. If you like this video, don't forget to like and sub to the channel. Obviously, I'm really enthusiastic.
It's a good video.
Because I love Delve, and also
I'm kind of interested
sick in Path of
how many
Exile
people
2,
actually
Path
think
of Exile 2 is really mounting up to be a fantastic game now with all the changes that have been made. But anyway, until I see you next time, probably in the video tomorrow, I will see you guys later, and have a good one.
I'm kind of interested. How many of you actually think he's right? Like Delve actually coming is not copium. It's sort of is pseudo teased throughout. You know, both the data mine here it was showing up earlier that he showed that this portion here on top of the sort of teaser that they have. Like, how much of this is copium? How much of it you think is like, oh no, there's actually like a real chance with it here? I'm hoping he's right for sure. Right. Well, it makes a good case. Menagerie is coming. Delve is hinted on multiple times throughout the game already. Hope he's right 50-50. Pretty low chance. Okay, so there's some split opinions here. Delve would be an interesting first like league mechanic outside of Abyss. Because Abyss is within the map, Delve is outside of the map, and would be the first like, I mean, not the first real mechanic, because Abyss is a real mechanic. I feel like Abyss actually had more, like way more additions outside of just the Abyss itself, like with the crafting and all that I was actually expecting. If we get that many with Delve also, I mean, dude, it'd be 2 banger leagues in a row. But yeah, I hope it is. That's a good video though. I don't know if I'm still on the data mining anything, however. I don't know if I'm sold on that.